To me, the Cohen story was a bust. I mean, to me, what I saw of Cohen was a bust. He didn't say anything new. He did say that he'd never been to Prague. He reiterated under oath that he had never been to Prague, which was a key part of the Steele dossier, which all know was the dossier that the FBI used to get a FISA warrant so they could spy on the Trump campaign. And he said he was supposed to have gone, what was he? He was supposed to visit Prague in 2016 and meet with Kremlin officials to discuss making non-traceable payments to hackers. So it was all this kind of big WikiLeaks thing. They made a big deal over his producing checks, which he said were paid to him to give hush money to Stormy Daniels and another woman. We don't know if that's true or not since he was on retainer. But he did also tell these obvious lies. He said he didn't want a job in the White House, which the actual indictment, the federal indictment for which he's going to prison, said he did want a job in the White House. A lot of this is coming out of Lanny Davis, who we know is, of course, a big Clinton intimate and, may be harboring a little bitterness about the Clinton defeat by Trump. But here is Cohen's final statement, which is it's just overflowing with dishonesty. And again, one of the hits on the Republicans here was that they didn't undermine any of the substance of what he said. And I think it's absolutely probably, Trump denies it. I think he's lying. I think Trump paid off Stormy Daniels. Why he paid off Stormy Daniels, I don't know. I mean, probably he thought he could keep it from his wife. I doubt that anybody was going to not vote for him because he slept with a hooker. I thought he was living the dream. He had a stripper spanking him. I mean, isn't that why we're here? So, I don't know why he was paying her off, but if it wasn't with campaign finance money, it's not a crime. It's just kind of sleazy. But here's Cohen's final statement, probably written by Lanny Davis, with just overwhelming dishonesty coming out of him.
I have acknowledged I have made my own mistakes, and I have owned up to them publicly and under oath. But silence and complicity in the face of the daily destruction of our basic norms and civility to one another will not be one of them. I did things and I acted improperly, at times at Mr. Trump's behest. I blindly followed his demands. My loyalty to Mr. Trump has cost me everything. My family's happiness, friendships, my law license, my company, my livelihood, my honor, my reputation, and soon my freedom. And I will not sit back, say nothing, and allow him to do the same to the country. Indeed, given my experience working for Mr. Trump, I fear that if he loses the election in 2020, that there will never be a peaceful transition of power. And this is why I agreed to appear before you today.
So he agreed to appear before him today because he had to, or else he was going to go to prison for a lot longer time. That was part of his plea agreement, that he was going to say all this stuff. The idea that there would be no peaceful transition of power, so Michael Cohen is flying, he should have worn a cape. He should have worn a cape to the hearing. He was flying to the rescue of American democracy. I used to hear this from people on the right when Obama was president. He'll never leave office. And I thought Obama couldn't wait to get out of office because all his programs had failed. And he was making them, now he can just sit around and talk about what a great president was instead of everybody seeing in front of him what a terrible president he was. What's Trump going to do? He's going to wedge a chair over the door to the Oval Office? Which branch of the military is going to defend him, is going to keep him in the Oval Office? What is Michael Cohen saving us from? Now, just think about that for a minute. Think about the kind of dishonesty, the exuding. Listen, again, the worst thing that came out about Donald Trump was that he associated with a guy named Michael Cohen, like Michael Cohen. I mean, that is the worst. That's already the thing we know to be the worst thing about Donald Trump, the way he's lived his life, the way he's done his business. But listen now to Michael Cohen. Here is George Stephanopoulos, and we spliced two different quotes together, but this is George Stephanopoulos talking about Michael Cohen, and then from another place, George Stephanopoulos talking about himself.
And Christine, and you've known Michael for a while. I've known Michael for a long time as well. There's no question we're seeing a humbled Michael Cohen before this committee today. A lot of the anecdotes, a lot of the personal anecdotes have the ring of truth. Making sure we are always accurate, especially with these attacks coming in on the press, we have to make sure to go above and beyond to ensure that everything we do is accurate and fair.
When organizations reach this level of corruption, that ABC News has now reached. They don't care if you know that George Stephanopoulos is a Clinton hack. They don't care. They just don't care. It's just like, what are you going to do about it? Huh? Come on, what are you going to do about it? He's sitting there saying that Michael Cohen has the ring of truth. If Michael Cohen may have many things, but one of them is not the ring of truth. And NBC promoted the guy by saying that he was like John Dean during Watergate. Listen to this.
Reminders today of another historic hearing.
John Dean was back on the witness stand today.
In 1973, former Nixon White House legal counsel John Dean testified for days before the Senate Watergate Committee.
I began by telling the president that there was a cancer growing on the presidency.
It's not a perfect parallel. Dean was on the inside at the White House and revealed Nixon's personal involvement in a cover-up.
John Dean's testimony was the moment where Richard Nixon went from being a president with a problem to being a president who might very well be driven out of office. We don't yet know if Michael Cohen's testimony is going to have the same effect.
It's not a perfect parallel in the sense that there's no relationship between them, but they both did testify in front of Congress. I mean, John Dean was the ultimate Nixon insider who came forward with all this information, which was later borne out by the tapes. This guy, you know, what has he done? What evidence has he produced? What crimes have been committed? I mean, even again, paying off Stormy Daniels, not a crime. Even talking to Roger Stone about WikiLeaks, which Stone says didn't happen, not a crime. It's all of this kind of amorphous stuff, orange man bad stuff, which Jim Jordan says is simply a way to get to impeachment, this kind of crazy impeachment deal.